Good morning, guests. I am Principal Eva Williams. It is an honor to welcome all of you to Van Dyne Elementary, the home of the champs, courageous, hardworking achievers, motivated, persistent scholars, always safe. Thank you, Mr. Lobdell, Board of Education President Katie Sojewicz, and Superintendent Alisea for visiting with us. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Superintendent Alisea.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here this morning at short notice. I think that events like this can get a lot of attention from the media, so we're looking forward to share with you some of the great things that we're doing in the Syracuse City School District. As you know, we were the only district that we had to wait a little longer to make sure that we were doing everything that our staff, our parents were concerned about. And one of those concerns was about air quality in the buildings. I was very confident that that we have good air quality in our buildings, but we wanted to make sure that our staff, our families felt very comfortable. 2 weeks ago, I read an article about Mr. Lavdell working with the schools in New York City, and I approached Center State, and they got me in contact with Mr. Lavdell, and we began to work on a plan on how to address that and how to bring air purifiers into the Syracuse City School District. So I would like to introduce Mr. Lavdell to talk about the air purifiers that we're going to be installing in every classroom in the Syracuse City School District, and then we will answer questions that you may have for us. We're also going to be giving you the opportunity to go into the building, of course, keeping the social distancing so you can see what we have done in our building. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Lavdell.
Thank you, Superintendent Alicia, and Principal Mrs. Williams, thank you for all you're doing. And School Board President, Mrs. Sojewicz, it's a pleasure to be here with you folks today. When Mr. Alicia called me, we were very honored to be a part of this. Community for Health by a Family of Brands is everything. And today, this is a part of us giving back to the community, working very closely with Syracuse Central School Districts to really bring the best air quality to the district. All of our machines are individually certified and tested to provide the highest level of air quality and air filtration in the space. And this commitment made by Mr. Alicia and the board here is really a very strong commitment to the health and wellness of the space. So we're honored and a pleasure to be here with everyone. If there's any questions I can ask on the solutions. But again, this is one step in a multi-pronged approach that this school district's taken to really provide the healthiest spaces that they can provide. So we're honored and thrilled to be a part of this opportunity to really bring the best to the school district and to Syracuse. Thank you very much.
Tell me a little bit about when Jaime reached out to you. What was your first thought?
Well, we've been providing solutions for school districts all over the country, New York City Public Schools, one primarily. When Jaime reached out, it was an honor. I mean, our goal is community first, right? So we've been working with other school districts, but this was obviously the biggest. We were honored, and we reprioritized our manufacturing and our supply chain to support Syracuse City School Districts.
So what are the hardware you put in each classroom, and what does it do, and why is it safe?
So first, these machines, they're patented DFS filtration systems. They're individually certified and tested to provide 99.99% reduction of all particles in the space down to 0.007 micron. That's 10 times smaller than COVID-sized particles. So these machines are placed, they give recirculated air and drastically reduce the particle load in the space, which essentially makes the space less likely to have cross-contamination.
Now, I see you put the idea of having two of those filters in a classroom instead of one. Is that going to make a big difference?
Very intentional. I mean, the district was very intentional about what they wanted to do. Very comprehensive approach to this. They said, first, we want a solution that's going to work, and second, we want one that's not going to be counterproductive to the learning environment. And so that's why we went with two systems. Two systems give you the ability to recirculate air to lower noise level, instead of having one system in there that's really blowing air and creating an additional problem for the learning environment. They've got enough on their hands right now, so how do we provide a solution that really helps them and protects them, but also is productive to the learning environment?
And are we sure it works with, coronavirus and the particles that?
Great question. Yeah, so this is a cross preventative measure. This machine has been individually tested to capture particles much smaller than COVID-19. We've been in business for over 30 years. It's been our focus. We didn't pop up today. This has been our life's work. And these machines, again, are individually tested, and we've had the technology tested by Dr. Syed Sattar, the world's #1 infection control expert, to show that in 10 minutes, this machine removed 99.987% of COVID-sized particles, and over 24 hours, there was no reintroduction into space. So that's not to say that someone occupying the space could get COVID. This is an extra step that's taken to increase the air exchange and to reduce the particle load, which one would assume would reduce the likelihood of capturing COVID.
Do they run 24 hours or just during the school day?
Yes, ma'am. They're meant to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Are these two standalone units per classroom, or how does this go?
The approach is 2 standalone units per classroom, yes.
Is this similar to what we saw last week at DPW?
Different. The DPW was large commercial units for large spaces where lots of people gather. These are strategic placed units where we can keep the noise level low and where there's not as much mass gathering.
Vinny, do we have an exact number as a part of this work with the school district?
It's going to be between 2,200 to 2,500 machines.
Okay, and in terms of production rate, is you guys kind of right on where you want to be, or?
We're working around the clock to prioritize Syracuse City School Districts. Our commitment always lies with the community first. And so we're providing solutions to 30 countries right now. So the most mission critical applications, whether it's New York City Public Health, New York City School District. But when Jaime called me, it was certain that we had to prioritize this project because this is our community.
How much maintenance is involved with keeping these up?
One of the best parts of these machines is they're very easy to maintain. Anybody could do it. Roughly filter change once a year.
So will this be for the next week here? Is this kind of project number one? Is it kind of all hands on deck for the school district?
We committed to prioritizing this district because it's our home. And so yes, we're all hands on deck, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and really doing what we can to deliver to the need.
Is this something you can see you putting in other schools as well in Central New York? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we are working with other school districts. We've worked with MPH, CBA, Liverpool. This was the biggest commitment, and I think the most rigorous plan to really make sure students and staff are safe. A lot of the other schools have done smaller locations. They really wanted to go above and beyond to provide a healthy step and solution for all.
Thank you very much.